There's too many things that go wrong if you don't have it, and it's not that hard to have a session 0. Just go for it. This is one of the places I deeply disagree with Matt Colville on. Fun fact.
Does Matt Colville say you don't need session 0?
He says, he how do I explain his take? His take is a little strange on this. He basically says, I don't believe session 0 is actually a thing. He said, well, okay, there's two things. One, he's pedantic about the word session 0. He's like, if you guys sit down and do game stuff, then that's a session. Isn't that just session 1? So that's the first thing. He's being pedantic about the word of it. But more importantly, he says, I don't think anyone wants to sit down and do campaign stuff and then not actually play the game at all. So session 0 is like not actually a thing. And I think he is misunderstanding what people mean by session 0 quite a bit.
Yeah, that's an odd take. I mean, like, I agree with the, like, it is kind of a bummer when you get really excited in session 0 and you're like, oh, I want to play. Oh, I gotta wait for next week. That is a fair take, but, like, it's not this, like, world-breaking thing where it's like, we're not playing today. What do you mean we're not playing? Like, well, all right, shit.
I don't entirely, I'll admit, I don't entirely understand his train of thought. But I think what he's trying to get at is nobody wants to do that, so it doesn't have that much value. So you should try and, I think what he's advocating for is having session 0 last like an hour or whatever, and then start playing. Like, make it as short as humanly possible and then get into it. I think he's maybe not accounting for, well, one, the fact that people play a little differently than they used to in terms of how they came to the table. I think people used to come, it was much more common to come to the table. The GM maybe gave you like a lore document or a world document or something like that. You came to the table, you knew what you were getting. Maybe you discussed the style of game for 30 minutes or an hour, and then you played. I don't think people do that in quite the same method anymore, so I think it might be a case of him being a little stuck in his old school train of thought. You know what I mean?
He's kind of narding out.
A little bit, I think, yeah. And he also doesn't play that many games other than D&D. I mean, he does play some, but not a ton. So I think he does come at it specifically from the D&D mindset, when a lot of other games, especially when you're talking modern games, specifically tell you to sit down and make session 0 a thing. You know, make it, basically modern games are like, have a session 0 and make it hangout time. But make it productive hangout time and build a world and build your characters together. And I think the reason is just because you get a more successful, essentially it's more work up front, but that extra work up front pays off greater dividends in the long run. If you're doing world building as a group, then the players are going to be a little more invested in the setting because they establish bits of the setting. If you have a player who's like, I want to play a bounty hunter from this small village that's known for their bounty hunting skills and people hire them for that all the time, your player created that. Then when that comes up in the campaign at some point, they are deeply they are like way more invested than they would have been if you as the GM had just handed that to them.